Thanks. Glad to be here, and I'm pretty excited to introduce Conflux today and provide some information on our upcoming Mainnet launch in September. So we have a lot to get through. So why don't we just get started here? Let's get to the next slide. So Conflux is a breakthrough layer one proof of work blockchain project originating out of China. And probably the best place for me to start is to kind of give some background on China's national blockchain strategy that was launched late last year. This will help provide context for Conflux's standing in the China blockchain landscape. For most Westerners, the perception is that this strategy is driven by the central government. In actuality, this isn't quite the case. The China blockchain strategy is actually very provincial, with the central government allocating funds and decision-making to provinces. This has produced a blockchain landscape that is highly fragmented thus far. And the scale of the blockchain strategy, and although the scale of this blockchain strategy is ambitious, the current approach is quite conservative, resulting mostly in enterprise-related projects and a proliferation in patent applications. Next slide, please. As a result, most of the China market projects that we hear about these days are actually private blockchain projects. The China news that we hear in CoinDesk and other publications these days tends to be on the DCEP digital currency project or the BCN blockchain service network or various enterprise and consortia chains led by Tencent, Baidu, etc. At the end of the day, most of these projects tend to be provincially supported, enterprise-related, but private and or permissioned. Meanwhile, cryptocurrency has been banned because of the sheer volume of ICO scams. Exchanges are under scrutiny for facilitating highly speculative, unregulated trading, and public permissionless blockchains remain controversial for a number of reasons. Again, mostly because of past non-compliant token issuances and failing to deliver a worthy network, which has naturally brought considerable uncertainty and risks to even well-known existing public blockchain projects in China. Next slide, please. Conflux is the only government-endorsed public permissionless blockchain network in China. Launching a public network is typically a bottom-up process involving significant community building. Because we're decentralizing our network out of China, we require not just a bottom-up approach, but a top-down strategy. The credibility and trustability of our project has put us in a unique position to build both a developer community and work with China government and industry. Our project was created by a team of amazing engineers and computer scientists from Tsinghua University and the University of Toronto, and is led by Turing Award winner Dr. Andy Yao and Professor Fan Long. In 2018, we took a very block stack approach in our token issuance and worked with regulators to compliantly raise $35 million in the middle of the crypto winter from investors such as Sequoia, Metastable, Huobi, Baidu Ventures, and other well-respected firms. Not only are we the only state-endorsed public blockchain in China, but we're incredibly fortunate to be endorsed by the Shanghai state government, giving us tremendous positioning to China's financial center. Furthermore, we've received significant grant funding from Shanghai state government and have launched the Conflux Shanghai Research Center to take leadership in advising industry and government on public blockchain use cases and opportunities. Next slide, please. Let me provide you with some technical details on our breakthrough. Conflux is a high-security proof-of-work blockchain with provisions for anti-double-spend attack protection at the protocol level and contract code proofreading at the application level. It is extendable by combining blockchain oracles and cryptographic tools to realize powerful features like external data feeding with confidential data control. And as everybody knows, scalability is still the key challenge for blockchains. And to improve it, consensus algorithms are the most limiting factor. We increased on-chain transactions by designing a unique tree graph consensus mechanism. In a traditional blockchain structure, there's a linear chain with a limited block creation rate. Most of the forked blocks are wasted to maintain the consensus on the longest chain. With Conflux, we combine the benefits of both a blockchain and a directed acyclical graph into a high-performance tree graph consensus protocol. Our tree graph consensus protocol is able to A, maximize the throughput to over 3,500 TPS without sacrificing decentralization and security. B, optimize confirmation times to around 20 seconds, providing the same level of security as 6 blocks in Bitcoin and 30 blocks in Ethereum. And C, reduce the transaction fees to less than 1% of the fees in Ethereum. The key breakthrough is that Conflux is able to optimistically process concurrent blocks without discarding any as forks. Next slide, please. Here's a snapshot of how Conflux performs versus other systems. As you can see, Conflux performs at comparable speeds to centralized systems like Visa, and outperforms various other centralized systems, such as Bitcoin, Libra, and Ethereum. The throughput is equivalent to 6,400 transactions per second for typical Bitcoin-type transactions. When running Conflux, the consensus protocol is no longer the throughput bottleneck. The bottleneck is instead the processing capability of individual nodes. Next slide, please. Developers and builders will have plenty of reasons to build on Conflux. Firstly, Conflux is Solidity compatible, allowing for faster and safer smart contract deployment. Developers will also enjoy fast, secure, and cheap transactions. The median transaction fee is a very small fraction of what the current centralized and decentralized solutions charge. As I mentioned, less than 1% of the fees in Ethereum. On top of this, Conflux also offers a transaction fee coverage, where developers can pay for the user's transaction fees, and third parties can sponsor the developer's transaction fees. We also have an ecosystem development program where the Conflux Foundation will fully subsidize the transaction fees of on-chain transactions executed through smart contracts for select projects. And perhaps most important, this network will have zero congestion, meaning it's a fast, secure, cheap highway to build marketplaces. Next slide, please. There was a recent academic paper by researchers at Imperial College London and UCL that found the vast majority of transactions on Tezos, EOS, and Ripple do not transfer any actual value. Unfortunately, zombie networks that raise millions of dollars have been at the heart of calls for regulatory intervention. It's very important to us that we not only build transactions on our network, but we encourage developers and partners to add transactions with actual business value. And because we strongly believe that it's our role to develop social consensus on the merits of public blockchains to regulators and government, we've made it a priority to pursue government-based projects. As an example, we're currently securing construction certificates to allow for transparency, timestamping, and auditing. We're also working on creating hash certificates for government data centers, uploading SHA results for records to verify integrity. New digital assets are an area of interest for us as well. In particular, stable coins and their ability to provide liquidity and act as a stable medium of exchange. All types, asset-backed, collateralized, and algorithmic stablecoins are of keen interest to us. And you can expect some partnership announcements in the coming months around this. Lastly, we also encourage developers to build open finance applications with our infrastructure. We're excited about upcoming applications like Moondex and Lysix that will become valuable exchange partners in our ecosystem. Next slide, please. Conflux isn't planning on being a China-based network. Our goal is to build a truly decentralized global network. And as such, we launched a global office in Toronto at the beginning of the year. We've started to build a distributed team and now have team members in San Francisco, London, Zurich, Lagos, Vietnam, and Korea. Our global team is mainly focused on community building and developer relations. We're also creating strategic partnerships to facilitate cross-border commerce and open up new marketplaces in emerging markets like Africa and Southeast Asia. And of course, our Beijing and Shanghai offices will continue to anchor our core development. Next slide, please. A big part of what we're trying to create with the Conflux network are liquid markets. How can we create public infrastructure and a network economy that will generate value by allowing digital assets to flow freely? Flow freely between centralized and decentralized systems, across blockchains, and across jurisdictions with regulatory compliance. We believe that if we can create liquid markets, we'll be able to create new marketplaces and financial services to serve all people, including those in emerging markets. Next slide, please. In order to create liquid markets, we need to ensure the execution of high-performance transactions, those with the speed and security that we see in capital markets. In order to push the development of our open finance ecosystem, we have developed a cross-chain protocol called Shuttleflow that works on top of the Conflux blockchain. This provides the user with a secure, efficient, and convenient way to bridge their assets across various chains. We're also creating a cross-chain alliance with our ecosystem partners to securely map various mainstream assets like Bitcoin, Ether, USDT onto the Conflux chain. Besides Shuttleflow, Conflux community developers and the Conflux team have jointly created a decentralized dual protocol that is essentially a twin ledger that executes high-performance, real-time matching with on-chain settlement. Boomflow features instant exchange contracts and syncs with Matchflow. And Matchflow provides a high-frequency matching engine to ensure smooth and highly efficient operations based on decentralized exchanges. Next slide, please. In order to create liquid markets, we're also creating programs to increase global connectivity. This summer, we will be launching an open innovation and incubation center with the funding we received from the Shanghai state government. We'll be launching 2 initiatives based out of this center. First, we'll be developing an incubation program that will serve as a launching pad for startups building on top of Conflux. Second, we'll be announcing a China market entry program for global partners that are looking for guidance on how to assess opportunities and enter the China market. For both initiatives, we'll be facilitating our network and relationships with developers, investors, enterprises, government, and regulators to provide go-to-market advisory. Our aim is to open up our community and network and become a pathway and a conduit into China and create both on-chain and off-chain bridges to help us decentralize. Next slide, please. Another exciting initiative that we'll be launching is our ecosystem grants program. We'll be distributing 2.4 billion CFX to ecosystem contributors in the areas of research, education, tooling, security, and dApp development. In terms of research, there's a wide range of areas related to blockchains, cryptocurrencies, computer science, distributed systems, cryptography that we're focused on. We believe funding for research projects on blockchain governance is also very important for our long-term success and for the success of other blockchain ecosystems. As mentioned, we'll also be funding the creation of tools to support the development of the Conflux blockchain. This will form the foundation from which the network and the ecosystem can grow, making our network easily accessible to developers and system builders. Initial priorities would be applications, APIs, user onboarding tools, IDE integrations, and more. The Conflux Foundation also plans to issue grants to projects building and deploying applications, targeting a variety of real-world use cases that demonstrate high potential. We're open to innovative applications that can drive mainstream adoption and enable open commerce. Such use cases may include DeFi, payments, asset exchanges, supply chains, and more. Lastly, Conflux also values community building and will be issuing grants around educating and building awareness. We're building a community ambassador program to build a diverse community. We encourage diversity in our community and therefore don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all criteria for building this type of global community. And we of course encourage everybody to apply on for these community grants, and we'll assess them on a case-by-case basis to determine the merits of the grant. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, our planned mainnet launch is in September. And we're currently in a 3-phase process that began with the Pontus phase. In this phase, with the help of our community, we launched core components of our DEX ecosystem. Moondex has been launched, and this is where we are creating on-chain liquidity for Conflux. As mentioned previously, we also launched our CrossChain Protocol shuttle flow and our decentralized dual settlement protocols, Boomflow and Matchflow. In the Oceanus phase, which will begin next month, we will focus on mining and implementing our proof of work algorithm. Once we're sure of network security and stability and have sufficient network contributors, we'll migrate from SHA 256 to the official Conflux POW mining algorithm. We'll also run a comprehensive pilot using our mining algorithm with the dApps and protocols on our network. Lastly, Tithys is the final phase with our fully functioning mainnet. And this is where we'll start to activate our ecosystem grants program. Next slide, please. And we're happy to take any interest around those grants programs and around our mainnet launch. And you can reach us, via our channels on Discord, on Twitter, and Telegram. So thank you for the opportunity for me to introduce Conflux and the information around our upcoming mainnet launch. Happy to take any questions at this point.
All right, go. Do we have some technical difficulties going on? Can I be heard? Okay, I think we are back with no signal on my monitor, but that's okay. Eden, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome presentation and very, very interesting project. We're really looking forward to the next stages of the project. We are actually out of time on this presentation, but thank you very, very, very much for joining us. And we look forward to some updates on the next BlockDown, which should be coming up in a few months.